In this video, we're going to take a look at ActiveMQ topics. So instead of a queue, which is the example we have here, we'll be creating a topic. And the difference between the two, with a queue, only one consumer can read a message from the queue. But with a topic, multiple subscribers can read from that topic and then get to see the same message. So you can have a couple of subscribers process the same message with these topics. So just to make sure everything is still working, I have my queue example here. So I'm going to run this, and then we see that it's item added to the queue. And then I can go to my browser, and if I go to localhost 8161, we get this page. If you get a login, admin for the username and then admin for the password. And then you'll get this page. So we can go to manage ActiveMQ broker. Then we see some information about our broker here. And if we go to queues, we'll see that items queue listed here. So that at the moment there's 10 messages queued on there. So if I go to IntelliJ and I go to my consumer app and I run this one, let's see, it should read all of the items from that queue. And then if we go back to our management console, click on queues. Now there's 10 messages enqueued, but also 10 messages dequeued. All right. But we don't want to do queues anymore. We want to do topics. So I'm going to go back to my producer application. And then in the messaging package, I'll create a new Java class. And I'll call this the item topic producer. And there we go. So with the previous example, with the queue, we created this thing in sort of a way that shows everything that's necessary for a queue to function, for you to be able to place items on that queue. And then we have these two. So with the topics, I'm not going to have all of these things as object fields. And what I'll do is, those three that we need, these ones, those will be fields, and the rest of them will be dealt with in the constructor. So let's see here. For the queue, I passed in a string broker URL and the queue name. So for the item topic producer, I'll pass in the broker URL and then next a topic name. The next few things that we want is those three objects. So the first one will be a connection. Just make sure you get this JavaX JMS connection and not the SQL one. Connection. The next thing we need is a session, which also comes from this JMS package. And then finally, we need a message producer. So this is going to be message producer. Just like that. And then the rest of the things we'll deal with in the constructor. I'm going to use this object as is with no singleton or anything like that. So I'd like a Boolean to tell me if it's having an error. And then also a string so that I can read the error if I establish that it has an error. The next thing I want to do for this producer is tell it to implement auto closable so that you can use it with the try with resources construction. And also IntelliJ, or I guess your IDE, will let you know that you're not closing this auto closable resource. But anyways, let's see here. I'm going to try to close the producer. I'm going to try to close the session. And then finally try to close the connection. because this code will run when we're done with this object, I don't really care about the exception being logged here. Up next, we need to create this producer object. So we start this process by instantiating a factory. So a new ActiveMQ connection factory, and we give it the broker URL. And we open up a try block because some of these methods we're going to call can throw errors. From the connection factory, we can create our connection. So we'll say factory.createConnection, and it tells us it can throw a JMS exception. So we'll catch just some exception. And in that case, this object is currently in error. And we'll set the error to the message of the exception. From the connection, we create our session. So connection.createSession. And this thing will use this overload with the two parameters. So the first one is transacted, it will be false. And the next one is an int, which is the acknowledgement mode. And there are a couple of constants on the session class, and we'll go with the auto acknowledge. Then from the session, we can finally create our producer. So producer equals session.createProducer, but it wants a destination. So we'll say destination topic is going to be session.createTopic. We'll give it the topic name. Then this destination goes in there. And that's pretty much it for the constructor. Up next, I want to read these two values. So I'll use the alt insert combination on IntelliJ to give me this window, and then I select these two fields. I want getters for them. And then finally, I'll have a publish method, which takes in an item, which in our case is our business object. And then we want to put the fields of this object into a message and then send that message. So we'll have an object message, I'll just call it message. And we need to ask the session to create this object message for us. We'll have to try this piece of code. And I just set the error if anything happened. But then message.set int property, we'll call this item ID. It's going to be the ID of our item. And then next is going to be set string property. Going to be the title, will be item.title. And then finally we tell the producer to send this message. All right, that's pretty much it. Let's go to our main method. This code is for the queue producer, but I don't want that. I want the topic producer. And this is a new item topic producer. It wants the broker URL, which we have here. Just yoink that over from there. And then the topic name will be TPC for topic, and then items. So then I'll get rid of that that thing. And then instead of this, we're going to say close. Item equals some item, that's fine. I'm gonna check if this topic producer is in error. If it is, then just print out the error. Otherwise, topic producer.publish this item. And we can check again if it's in an error. And then finally, that piece of code that publishes 10 messages. So let's see. This should be fine. And now it's telling me that it's successful and that it added that item to the queue. Let's rename that to topic. But if I go back to my management dashboard, I click here on topics, Then we say here TPC items, and there's currently 10 messages on that topic. All of these other ones, these are ActiveMQ specific topics, so you can subscribe to these, and then you'll get some information on, for example, if a connection has been established with this ActiveMQ broker. If you don't have anything consuming these messages, then this thing can rack up into the millions of messages in queued. So that's something to pay attention to. All right, so that's our topic producer. The next video will cover the topic consumer, which is also known as a subscriber.